The combat simulator hummed with artificial gravity fluctuations, lights flickering across the polished floor like distant stars. The students of the Interstellar Academy watched in awe and trepidation. Among them was Kaylin Vera, a Deathworld survivor from the savage deserts of Arrogance 9. Her reputation preceded her: small, wiry, deadly in instinct, and calm under threats that would unnerve seasoned soldiers. Today's lesson, however, was different. Instructor Tharkel, a towering alien with chitinous armor and four-segmented arms, had a reputation of his own. Known for brutal efficiency and merciless teaching, he thrived on intimidation. And today he had a new boast to make. "Humans are fragile," he rasped, mandibles clicking. "I have faced your kind before. I have killed them 1, 2 scores, and they fell without honor. Observe, cadets, and learn from their weakness." His voice echoed across the arena, amplified by the hollow speakers. Cadets shifted uneasily. A few humans exchanged nervous glances, whispering prayers under their breath. Kaylin did not flinch. The instructor's pride was obvious. He demonstrated a series of maneuvers with simulation drones, striking them with lethal precision. His movements were fast, fluid, and undeniably deadly. Then he paused, turning his gaze toward the human cadets. "You little soft ones," he snarled, pointing a segmented claw at them, "would not survive a single encounter in real combat. Even your best are nothing." One student, a nervous Terran named Darrow, stepped forward. I'm ready to learn," he said, voice quivering. Tharkel laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Learn? You will watch me destroy, and you will see the futility of resistance." Kaylin remained seated, her eyes narrowing slightly. She had survived storms that shredded metal hulls and predators with intelligence surpassing many species. Boasting of killing humans was empty. She could see it in his posture, the subtle arrogance in his stance. The instructor moved closer to the training field, drawing his combat blade, a long, serrated weapon glowing faintly with plasma edges. "Watch closely," he said. "I will demonstrate the superiority of species over frailty." He lunged at a series of automated drones. They fell, shredded in precise arcs, sparks scattering in every direction. The students murmured in admiration. Tharkel's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. Then, without warning, he turned toward Kaylin. "You, human adjacent," he said, his voice low and venomous. "Step forward. Let me show you how quickly your kind dies." Kaylin rose slowly. She was smaller than the instructor, lighter, and appeared fragile, but appearances, she knew, were weapons in themselves. The room went silent. The cameras recorded, cadets held their breath, and even the drones paused mid-flight, as if sensing the change in the air. Tharkel raised his blade, flexing his segmented arms. "Come then. Test your fragile life." Kaylin's lips curved in a faint smile. She did not reach for a weapon. She did not move aggressively. Instead, she centered herself, grounding against the floor, aligning every muscle, every nerve to the flow of motion around her. When he struck, it was lightning fast, a lunge meant to decapitate. Every eye in the arena followed the path of the plasma blade. Kaylin did not dodge. She shifted, just a millimeter to the left. And in that instant, the impossible happened. Tharkel's momentum carried him past her, the blade striking only empty air. Kaylin's hand flicked, guiding his center of mass with a precision so subtle it was almost invisible. He stumbled, arms flailing, unable to regain balance. The cadets gasped. The drones whirred back to life, their sensors recalibrating. Humans held their breath. The instructor's mandibles clicked in alarm. Kaylin's second move was a whisper of motion. She spun lightly on the balls of her feet, using her opponent's own momentum to direct him toward a reinforced wall. The impact was controlled but devastating, enough to break his stance and knock him to the floor. Darkel hit the ground with a resonant clang. Armor plates dented. His blades skittered across the floor. The instructor tried to rise, but Kaylin's calm, fluid presence created a psychological weight heavier than any weapon. "Your boast was empty," Kaylin said softly, each word deliberate, carrying authority far beyond her size. "Strength is not in killing, but in control, understanding, timing, wisdom." The arena remained silent. Darkel blinked, his multiple eyes failing to process what had happened in the span of a single heartbeat. Kaylin stepped closer, not threatening, but measured. She placed her hands lightly on his arms, guiding them down. She did not strike. She did not threaten. She merely demonstrated the principles of balance, leverage, and discipline that had been second nature to her since her childhood on Deathworld. "You see," she continued, "a true warrior does not boast of death. A true warrior teaches life, even when confronted with aggression." The cadets were stunned into silence. Not one moved. Not one dared speak. The humans watched with awe. Even the alien students, trained in ruthlessness and fear, whispered among themselves about the power of composure and instinct. Darkel struggled to rise. Pride clashed with the undeniable truth of the situation. "Impossible," he muttered, voice strained. Kaylin interrupted gently. "Not impossible, just unmatched discipline." The instructor could only gape as she turned, walking back toward her seat. Her posture was casual, yet every step resonated authority. The academy hall seemed to acknowledge her presence, the gravity of her control bending the room to silent respect. The lesson did not end there. Kaylin spent the remainder of the session demonstrating movements, defensive techniques, and timing principles to the class. Each cadet, alien and human alike, followed her example with reverence. By the time the session concluded, the instructor had regained his composure, just enough to retreat, but the lesson had been written indelibly. Boasting of human fragility had not only failed, it had been shattered entirely. Word spread quickly across the academy. Humans had always been underestimated, small, fragile, inexperienced, but Kaylin had rewritten expectations. She had proven that instinct, control, and understanding could overcome brute strength and arrogance. Cadets began training differently. Humans were no longer mocked, they were observed. The Deathworld survivor had demonstrated that a mind and body aligned with environment and instinct could neutralize even the most lethal threats. Months later, Kaylin graduated at the top of her class. Instructor Darkel did not publicly acknowledge his defeat, but whispers persisted. The lesson he had learned in seconds, a human had taught in the span of a heartbeat, a lesson he could not unlearn. Arrogance without understanding is the fastest path to failure. Kaylin, for her part, did not boast. She trained the next generation quietly, emphasizing mastery of self, timing, and observation. The incident became legendary, not for the moment of confrontation, but for the principles she imparted. True strength lies in calm, composure, and understanding, not in threats or bluster. And somewhere, in the halls of the academy, the story was told repeatedly to remind every cadet, human or alien, that underestimating a Deathworld survivor, or human, was the gravest mistake they could make. Because when Kaylin moved, the universe paused just long enough to show who truly understood power.